Hi guys, welcome to the Top 4 channel.
I'm Luisa.
I'm Maria.
I'm Julia.
I'm Eduardo.
We're gonna talk a little bit about top 4 things we think you should do. And in this video, we'll talk about top 3 books we think you will cry reading. And a bonus that this book, if you don't like melodramatic stories and think it's not like your vibe or something, aí a gente corta essa parte e ficou muito ruim.
Não, ficou bom, né?
Ficou bom.
Muito bom.
Okay, guys. Every girl will talk a little about one book that they read and cried, and if you think it's worth reading, you can tell in the comments right here, and we hope you like it.
So, I will talk about this book, The Last Time We Say Goodbye. This book tells the story of Alex, a girl who passed a difficult time, and the suicide of a younger brother, your school because your grades are falling, your parents are divorced, so your mother starts drinking and just cries, your relationship with your father is terrible. Beside all this, your ex-boyfriend wants to make up, but she doesn't want. And when it becomes to her brother, she has to deal with her conscience. Because she has some truths like, I do nothing to help, I could do something. So she decided to go to therapy, and her therapist say for she started write a diary. So this book is divided into chapters with what she writes in the diary and her narrating what is happening on the day. This book has several tigers and isn't necessarily focused on suicide, but like the people who witness the same, the suffering of the people who stay as the male Alex. However, it's a very good read, which makes you think about a lot and reflect about the world and your life.
The next book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. After a life of fame, money, and love, Evelyn Hugo, one of the most striking actresses in Hollywood history in the 15th, 16th, and 17th, decided to tell her story, her true story, without filters. After all, everyone she ever loved died, but she will only accept giving this interview of her life to a journalist without anything, called Monique, because somehow her stories are intertwined. That way we will realize how we didn't know anything about Evelyn and her 7 husbands. The real question of the book is not only who was Evelyn Hugo's true love, but also who was Evelyn Hugo. During this reading, you will be moved and share tears with the characters, and finish the book with many learnings and watching more. Evelyn Hugo is not the good girl who conquered the screens by being honest and talented, but being strong and persuasive. In many moments you will hate her, and in others you will love her, and most of all you will want to be like her. Now it is up to her to decide if the story of Evelyn Hugo is worth being heard by you.
Okay, the next book is A Thousand Boy Kisses, and this book tells stories about Poppy and Ron. Ron is a Norwegian boy who moves to the USA at the age of 5 and is very close to his neighbor, Poppy. When Poppy's grandmother is sick just before she dies, she hands her a jar of 1,000 blank papers for Poppy write the 1,000 most memorable kisses of her life. kisses that could almost make her heart explode. After that, Ron is very jealous because he doesn't want Poppy to kiss any more boys besides him. They agree on Poppy just putting kisses with him on the papers, and they start dating when they are little children. Okay, and when Ron turns 15 years, he received the news that he will have to return to Norway with his family, and they two agree to continue to keep in touch. But about 2 months after he returned to Norway, Poppy disappears, and around 2 or 3 years later, when Ron returned to the USA, he wants to find Poppy, to find out what happened to her, because they loved each other very much. And then a great story unfolds, but to see it, you will have to read the book to find out.
Okay, this fourth and last book is about Tiffy's story, and she ends up with her boyfriend, and she really needs a cheap place to live. So she closes a 6-month contract with a guy she never ever met in person. So they start living together. He sleeps by the day and she sleeps at night, and they start solving daily situations through post-its around the house. And he has an obsessive girlfriend, so it's kind of funny situation. And to find out the final story, you must read this book. It's amazing and it has a lot of plot twists in the end. Good reading!